Well, turning now to the fate of disgraced South Carolina lawyer Alex Murdaugh, that fate will soon be in jurors' hands. The defense is expected to rest any day now after Murdaugh concluded 2 days on the stand, making the case for his own innocence in the murders of his wife and son.
Prosecutors argue the 54-year-old has spent years lying to clients, law partners, and family members, and stole money to support his addiction to painkillers, in addition to changing his story about where he was on the night of the murders. Our panel has been following this story since the very beginning. NBC News correspondent Ellison Barber is outside the courthouse in Walterboro, South Carolina. NBC News legal analyst Cevallos is here on set. So, Ellison, just wrap it up for us here. What were the big takeaways from Murdaugh's testimony last week?
I mean, the biggest moment was when he admitted that he lied about his alibi, not just for a couple weeks or a couple months, but for roughly 20 months from the night of the murder until he admitted for the first time on the stand that he was at the kennels, the place where Maggie and Paul Murdaugh were killed, prior to when he had told investigators he was there. So on the stand, he admitted that it is his voice in the Snapchat video Paul Murdaugh took that night shortly before he died. Prosecutors have used cell phone data to try and establish a time of death. And based on the time of the Snapchat video that was taken at the kennel that Murdaugh now says was his voice, he was there roughly 4 minutes before prosecutors say Paul Murdaugh's phone locked for good when they believe roughly was the time that he was killed. So the defendant in this case, Alex Murdaugh, admitted that he was at the kennel that night at a time when he said that he was not there. He said, yes, I have lied to prosecutors. I have lied to family. I have lied to friends. I am a drug addict. I have stolen from clients. But he said, I did not kill my wife and son. Listen.
If I was under the pressure that they're talking about here, I can promise you I would hurt myself before I would hurt one of them, without a doubt.
Murdaugh said, other than lying about being at the kennels that night, I was cooperative. I did help law enforcement throughout this process. The prosecution, they seemed shocked by that, saying you were helpful except for maybe lying about the most important fact of all. You were there minutes before they were killed. Guys.
Ellison, thank you. Danny, I want to turn to the prosecution. They honed in on Murdaugh's deceit, his addiction. Let's listen to some of their cross-examination, and we'll talk on the other side.
Did you lie to him about the last time you saw your wife and son alive?
Did. Opiates gave me energy. My whole life, you wouldn't see me where I didn't have pills on me. I admit candidly in all of these cases, Mr. Waters, that I took money that was not mine.
His testimony was very compelling. Danny, you're a practicing defense attorney. What do you think about the defense strategy here? Is the jury sympathetic to Alex Murdaugh?
It was compelling that he probably did it. I mean, let's take a step back. If this were not some high-profile trial, if this was just some regular kid from a bad neighborhood, an impoverished neighborhood, on these facts, the jury would interrupt halfway through the trial and say, we have our verdict now. He's guilty. I mean, on these facts, because the bottom line is, throughout all the testimony that Murdaugh gave, he offered no evidence that there was anyone else there but him minutes before the killing. He admitted he lied about that. Okay, he lied about financial crimes. Big deal. He lied about being there at the moment or minutes before the crime. He's a drug addict, and he says in that clip that we just heard, I promise you I would never hurt my wife and child. Yeah. Your promise means nothing. You're a massive liar. In a sense, the prosecution has to be frustrated that this seems to be just an abundance of evidence. They must feel like they have this one, and yet I still hear people saying, his testimony, boy, just because he had financial problems doesn't mean he would kill his wife and son. If he gets acquitted, then that's on the state for trying to introduce that motive. They don't need a motive. Right. A motive is not an element of a crime, but prosecutors feel they need to put a motive out there for the jury to hang on to. They chose one that is impossible for the jury to hang on to, because who would kill their wife and son? What? Because financial crimes? He's still being prosecuted for them. It doesn't make any sense. They have enough evidence without it.
All right. Ellison Barber, Cevallos, thank you both for breaking it down. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.